Lock's second season has finally been released, with the season covering the third selection arc and the Japan U20 match. As someone who's a huge fan of both the anime and the manga, I'm here to give my thoughts on the adaptation, highlighting both the good and the bad. In today's video, I'll be reviewing episode 1 of season 2, titled Tryouts, and I'll be addressing the moments that I liked, as well as what I disliked from this episode. Before getting into the video, I do want to mention my Discord server, that being the New Egoist Geeks. There, myself and other BLUELOCK content creators host not only Discord exclusive events, but also actively engage with our community. If this is something that you'd want to join yourself, you can do so by clicking the link down below to join and become a part of that community. Before getting into the video, I want to leave a spoiler warning for the first episode of season 2 of the BLUELOCK anime, as well as the events that will be included in later aspects of the season. If you wish to not be spoiled for this episode or future ones, I would suggest clicking off this video right now. Before getting into the review, let's recap the episode, that way we can address all of the events that took place in the episode. The episode begins with a flashback of Rin and Sai, where Sai challenges Rin to a one-on-one, where the winner decides the fate of their dream. We see moments of Sai beating Rin over and over again, with Rin struggling to keep up with him. We then cut to black to see Rin's panicked expression. We cut back to the main story where Ego receives a call from the president of the JFA and his challenge to the Japan representatives. This is where we see Ego looking over the Japan U20 team, as well as potential core Blue Lockers. We then cut to where the last season ended off, with the second selection being completed. Informing Blue Lock of the challenge, Ego begins the next selection event, also known as the Tryout selection. This event will be to decide who participates against the Japan U20 team in the next 3 weeks. He first reveals the top 6 players in the current state of the project, from 1st to 6th being Itoshi Rin, Shiro Ryusei, Karasu Tabito, Eito Otoya, Kenyu Yukimiya, and Nagi Seishiro. With these top 6 players, Ego creates teams with 2 of each of these players listed as their figureheads. Each of the Blue Lockers will have the chance to join one of these teams to compete during this next selection. The only player allowed to play twice during the tryouts being Meguru Bachida, the number 7 player. Given 24 hours to decide their fate, the Blue Lockers are tasked with selecting a team that will allow for them to assert themselves within the top 6, proving their worth as a player. We cut to a dinner scene where Team Z is able to reunite and enjoy a dinner, reflecting on those who unfortunately did not make it, where we also get the confirmation that Shida was the one who defeated Kunigami. Izagi appears indecisive about who to ally himself with, Rin or Nagi, and Bachida proposes an idea to help Izagi choose his team. Choosing to go to Rin will allow for him to play with Rin and develop their rivalry through mutual devouring, while choosing to go to Nagi allows for them to coexist through previously established chemical reactions. Despite this remark, Izagi still remains unsure and needs some time to make his decision. We then cut to the top 6 room where we see Shido and Rin are actually players who don't get along very well, sparking a fight between the 2 players. We then learn that Ego's job for the top 6 players is for them to remain at the top of the project. They are considered to be the pinnacle of the current Blue Lock project, so their job is to ensure that nobody comes to steal their spotlight. We then cut to a washroom where Izagi talks to Baro and Nico about their ideas and remarks about the selection, and while it does provide some comfort and advice, he still remains unsure. While contemplating his decision, he meets with Ryo, who through mutual discussion about their hesitation allows them to decide who to ally with. We then get the reveal that Izagi ended up choosing Team A, led by Rin and Shido. We also see that Bachida decided to choose that team as well, and we learn that Ryo ended up choosing to team with Nagi. By looking at other results, we learn that Nico, Chigiri, and Baro have all chosen Team B, led by Otoya and Karasu. Cutting to the JFA, we see the president and the U20 manager talking, where we also are introduced to the captain of the Japan U20 team, Oliver Aiku, accepting Blue Lock's challenge. And that is what we were given for Blue Lock's first episode of their second season. Now, after reviewing the entire episode, I really have to say there weren't a lot of scenes that I actually disliked, or really any scenes that I disliked. Looking at the comparison from the previous season, the studio appears to have not only settled on a darker tone for the series for this season, but they also have devoted a lot more time into the character designs. Izagi appears to be redesigned, as well as Shido and Rin. And to me, I think they all look really good. Not only that, but the choreography, while limited, does feel very fluid. Like, even the most basic shots such as Rin and Shido fighting, the animation feels very fluid and clean, and despite it being limited, we did get a small teaser for the gameplay style of animation that we're going to be getting. Not only was the Sai vs Rin shot filler in the episode, but it also gave some pretty clean cuts in relation to Sai's dribbling. There was little to no CGI, the compositing was great, and the auras looked beautiful. Another thing from this episode that I really liked, while it was minuscule, was the character names. In the previous season, they all really stood out with the effect they had when it opened, as well as how large it was on screen, and now it feels more limited and simplistic, and I really like this change. I also really like the decision to color the character icons, and I think it adds some appeal to them. Really, from this episode, there wasn't a lot I have to complain about. My main issue though comes from the Kunigami and Ryo vs Shido match. Showing that matchup is very important, especially since there were multiple opportunities to show it in this episode, and yet they chose not to. Potentially it could be shown before the Team A versus Team B game next episode, but if it isn't shown then, I'm slightly worried that it's going to be removed from this season, which I personally wouldn't be a fan of. Aside from that, this episode was a great introduction to the season. Speaking of introduction, let's address the opening. The opening, while not sharing music made by the band man who made the Judgment opening. I really enjoy the visual style for this opening, and while I do miss the Judgment music, I don't know the fucking words, I do think that Union Square Garden did a really good job. The opening is told from the perspective of Rin, which I think is a nice touch since the U20 match is very Rin oriented. Hell, not even I could consider Isagi to be any major threat during the game. For those who want to avoid U20 spoilers, I would suggest clicking ahead to this timestamp right here, because I am going to be mentioning spoilers for the upcoming episodes. In the opening, we got to see a ton of U20 footage. We got to see Aiku's serpent defense, Rin receiving the drop ball, Nagi's turning trap shot, Baro's goal, Isagi's luck goal, Bachata's monster trance, Shido's big bang drive, as well as the flow state Rin vs Sai matchup. But in regards to the episode as a whole, I would personally rate it as a 9.2 out of 10. I think there were definitely some aspects I wish were included in this episode, but visually, the entire thing looked great and it was an incredible first episode. I'm really hoping that they decide to maintain this level of consistency throughout the entire season, but honestly, with 8-bit, it's very 50-50. But aside from that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video and will continue to enjoy it in the future. For the question of the video, what would you rate BLUELOCK Season 2 Episode 1 on a scale of 1 to 10? Leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. And like always, thank you all for watching, like and subscribe to see more awesome BLUELOCK content just like this.